Welcome to the Secure CRM Administrator tutorial video. Today we're going to walk through all of the administrator options in the Secure CRM system. You should have received an email that contained your login credentials, and that should provide you with a PIN number, a username, and a password. You're going to go to the SecureCRM.us website. You're going to enter in your PIN number as well as your username and password, and then select the sign on button. Once you select sign on, you'll immediately be entered into the dashboard. And on the dashboard, you're going to see quite a few things. You're going to see the earnings that you have for the day, and that's going to include any payments that are completed for the day. You're going to see scheduled, which is anything that's still in the pending status, and then you're also going to see decline, and this is anything that is in the rejected status. The next box at the top, you're going to see the total monthly earnings, and these are all of the completed payments for the month. And then your post dates are going to show any payments that are still scheduled for the month. So if you're looking at this, this should give you kind of an anticipatory overall detail of what you're looking at for the entire month. The next box you're going to see is the payments that you have scheduled or that are pending for tomorrow, and the completed payments from last month, as well as the scheduled or pending payments for next month. So this kind of gives you a comparison of where you are in terms of, or where you were in terms of last month, where you're looking at for next month, and then what you're looking at for tomorrow. So you can kind of anticipate where you're coming in at for the next day. The next block is going to be your office goal, and you can actually update that in the settings area, and then you're going to see the percentage or how close you are to that goal. So if your goal was 5,000 and you were at 50% of that, it would let you know that you're at the 50%. And then your bonus goal would be listed here, and this is based upon the hourly rate, or the bonuses, not the hourly rate, I apologize, the bonuses for each of the users that you have in the system. You're able to set their bonuses individually. So this would be the total of where those agents need to be, and this would show you the percentage of where you are up to that point. The next row is going to be your minimum daily, weekly, and monthly goals. This is going to be based upon the office expenses that you enter in the settings area, which we'll go through later, as well as your agent hourly rate and bonus goal, or your office goal. That's going to determine your minimum daily, weekly, and monthly goal calculation. And as you complete payments during the day or the week or the month, you're going to see that these numbers change, and then the percent you are to your goal changes. And as that percentage changes, you'll also see the daily progress. The bar is going to go, further along until you get past the 100% mark. The next row you're going to see is your ranking. Not your ranking, but the ranking for your agents. So if you have multiple agents in the system, you're going to be able to view their rankings from yesterday, today, and tomorrow. So yesterday, you're going to be able to see their total rejected payments and the completed payments that they had for the day. Or you're able to sort if you have multiple. You're able to sort who's on top, who's on bottom, sort by the agent name. And then today's ranking is going to show you not only their rejected and their completed, but also anything that they have scheduled and their anticipated total. So if you're looking at this at the start of the day, you'll be able to see where the agent starts the day, and as the day progresses, how many payments they have in the completed status, how many, if any, they have in the rejected or declined status, and then you would be able to kind of look at their performance and compare their performance against all of the users. And the users are able to see this as well, so they can actually see their performance compared to other users in the system under the same PIN number. In addition to today, you'll be able to also see tomorrow. So you'll be able to look at where everyone is actually coming in at for the following day. Same thing as the office as a whole, you'll be able to see where each individual user is starting the day off tomorrow. And that's just the yesterday, today, and tomorrow. In addition to that, we actually have the full year kind of performance snapshot. So if you have an agent that's been with you for the full year, you can look at their performance and their progression from month to month. And this will show you, of course, whether you're looking at an increase, a decrease, or consistency, whatever the case may be. You'll be able to look at a historical progression from the beginning of the year to the end of the year. The next row is just going to be the date, the current time, and then you're also going to see occurrences. If you track occurrences in your office, you'll be able to add occurrences here for anything that's in your office that's deemed an occurrence for a user if you track those. You'll be able to add, you would select the agent that you're adding for, the date of the occurrence, detail or description of the occurrence, like if they were late to work, late from lunch, late from break, whatever the case may be, if they called out, and then you would be able to select whether it's excused or unexcused, and then you would submit it. Once it's submitted, you would have a running total of what the agent has for the month, and the agent would also see this as well. So there are no surprises. There's, nothing if there's some disciplinary action that needs to come in addition to, tracking the occurrences. There's no surprises. The user knows what's going on. The management knows what's going on as well. Next to the occurrences, you have the callbacks. This is used to track callback usage and see who's actually following up on the callbacks that they're putting in the system. You can use this to view who's using the callback feature, and not only who's using it over who's not using it, but who's actually following up or who hasn't completed their callbacks. You'll be able to see anything here. If the callback is scheduled, you'll see the account number that it's scheduled on, the date that it's scheduled, the time, the phone number, and then who scheduled it. Now, if you have a user that is no longer with you, you can also then use this to be able to assign a callback to maybe another agent. The users also see their callbacks on their dashboard, so there's no, they don't have to remember that they have a scheduled callback. As soon as they log in, they'll look at their callbacks and they can actually go straight to the account and make the callback and complete it if they've done that. Next to the scheduled callbacks is your account requests. Any account that's in the system, when you initially add it or if it hasn't been assigned to anyone, it's in the unassigned status. The user cannot assign the account to themselves. They actually just hit a button and then the account request would be submitted and be listed here. The manager or admin can then take a look at the account, review the notes if necessary, and assign it to the user that requested it or the user that they feel the account should go to. Once that's done, you can come back here and just click on complete and it will be gone. Anything that's listed here it needs to be completed before it's moved out of this queue. The next row is for the management or the admin to be able to review who's actually logged into the system. If you have hourly employees, there is a timesheets option that's included, or timesheets feature that's included in the CRM. So you would be able to keep track of who punches in at one time, punches out, and then their total hours for the day. And in the morning or in the afternoon, you will be able to look and see, okay, who's punched into the system, who's not, and then log them out if you need to, but this will show you who's currently punched in. The letter requests are, this particular queue is used for any letters that have been requested to be mailed out to a customer. There are emails that are automatically sent or emails that can be requested, but there also is an option to mail documents to a customer. And if the mail request is sent, you'll be able to see all of the requests listed here and they'll show as pending. You can click on the print letters. It'll automatically be sent to an email of your choice. If you have an email tied to a printer, it'll automatically send the letters to that printer. And then it will also export the data for the envelopes that can then be printed on the envelopes for you to just stuff the envelopes if you need to. The next row is a few FDCPA and a few information or a few bits and pieces or tips of information for the users to review, and that'll constantly be updated and new information added as it's received. So that is the dashboard. The next option after the dashboard is the calendar. Once you click on the calendar, you'll be able to see a month's view of your pending and completed payments. And the pending and completed payments, for every single day, you'll be able to see, maybe historically you want to look at the last month. Do I normally do, X number of dollars on a Friday, or what do I normally do on a Wednesday? You'll be able to look at this and kind of check out the trends. Or if there's a day that you don't do so well, you'll be able to see that from month to month, and you can go back the month, to see what you've completed every single day in previous months, or you can go forward to see what you actually have scheduled or pending for that month. This is for all of your users. So any payments that are pending or completed for your particular PIN are listed here. The user also sees this, but they will only see what's pending and completed for themselves and not anyone else. In addition to the completed and pending payments, you'll also have an opportunity to review events. Like if you have users in your PIN and they're able to request days off, they actually have the option to enter this into the calendar for your approval. Once it's entered in, they would just enter in whatever the description is, the beginning and end of whenever they're requesting. Like if they're requesting a day off, they would enter in, day off request, the date that they're requesting off. Is if it's multiple days, they would just click on the input and select the date range, and then they would put in details here. Once it's saved, it'll automatically be in the system as a pending event. Then you would be able to see it and go to the event, and you would be able to click on approve, edit, or delete, and this is going to show you the title as it was entered, the start and end date, the details, and then who entered in the request and the date that it was entered in for. Once you hit approve, it'll show for them as approving, and then you'll be able to see that who was approved, but who approved it, and then the date that it was approved. You'll be able to see that information here. So that is the calendar. And that's a good way to keep track of anything that's going on in the office. If there's a lot of different moving parts, if you have an event or if you have something scheduled, you can actually add it here, and you'll be able to keep track of it. The next item is email. In the settings area, there is an option for you to enter in your mailbox details. If you have an email in the system, emails are automatically sent to the customer, so you definitely will need an email where the customer can reply to. And that is the same email that you would probably enter in here, because if a customer replies to it, you want your agents to be able to review it. If they're sending documents, you want your agents to be able to look at those documents, fairly quickly, and be able to either respond if you need them to, or download it and upload it to their account very quickly. So you would just enter in your mailbox details in the back end on the settings. We'll see that very shortly, but then you'll be able to look at the inbox. Once you click on an email, you'll be able to view the email, very similar to any other email platform. You'll be able to see that here. You can refresh the inbox by clicking on the refresh button. You can go back if you're in an email, reviewing the email. Like if you click on one that actually has an attachment, you can click on that, and then at the bottom you'll see the attachment. You can download it and view it, and then go back to the inbox. That's the email. Next is your client area. As a standard user, you would be able to maintain or add multiple clients. So if you're entering in portfolios that you've either purchased from different companies, or that you want to kind of lump together for whatever reason, you can actually create a client, and then any portfolio that you import, you can actually assign those portfolios to a particular client, and then you can also provide access for that client if it's someone that needs to be able to log in and view the performance of their portfolios. They could all be kind of lumped together, so that they can see the performance of all of their portfolios at once. And on the flip side, you would be able to look at if you're purchasing portfolios from a particular buyer. You want to lump them all together and compare them to, say, or not a buyer, but another seller. You would be able to compare the performance of this particular seller versus another. So you would have your clients listed here. You can click on a particular client, and once you're looking at that particular client, you'll be able to see their client information, the total collected for all of their portfolios, what's scheduled, what has declined, how many accounts they have in the system, how many portfolios they have with you, how many accounts are in a PPA status. That is a short name that's used for each client in the account number, so you'll have that. And then if there is some type of contingency or payment agreement, you would be able to see what the remit is that's due, how many payments have been made, and what balance is currently owed. And then down here, you'll be able to see all of their portfolios that they've placed with you, um, you know, what's scheduled, what's collected. The next tab is the users. And if they have any users in the system, you'll see them listed here. If not, and you need to add a user, you can just click on the Add User tab, and you'll be able to enter in their name, email address, and username and password, and provide them with access to the system, to the client portal. Not your system, the client portal. That client portal will only allow them to view their client or their portfolios. It will not give them access to any of the other portfolios. From this section, you can also view any portfolios, but we will look at that once we go to the portfolio management page. But by clicking on that, you'll be able to see the same thing. So that's the client area. Oh, one more thing, the processors. So in this system, you do have the ability to select a processor for a particular client. So if you have a client and you want to have them have their accounts be processed through a particular merchant processor that you have, you can actually set that here, or you can just set that to use the default processors that you have set up in the system. So you do have the option to override the default and set it based upon a client. After the client, you have desks. Now, the desks are a list of all of your users and any accounts that they have assigned to each of them, their status, and then you're able to either view or empty. If you view, you'll be able to see all of the accounts in their desk. If you empty, that is removing all of the accounts from their desk. So if you have someone that's no longer with you and you want to completely empty out their desk, you can just use that button and it'll do that. If you click on view, this will take you to the particular user. It'll give you their information and you'll be able to see all of the accounts in their desk. You'll be able to see the status of those accounts, to see if they are working them, if they've changed the status, and then you'll be able to click on each account and actually view the account details. We'll be able to see that a little bit later, but you'll be able to click on that from here. In addition to viewing the desk for that user, you're also able to view their timesheets, their punch-ins and punch-outs. You'll be able to view the timesheets for the particular pay period, any documents. If you do have a user that needs to have signed documents or anything uploaded to the system, you can actually upload them here to keep track of, if they're a 1099 employee, if they're a W-4 employee, you can actually have them fill out those documents and you can actually attach them to their account, for your the history, so that you know exactly what's going on. Same thing with the notes. If you've had to have a talk with that person, or if you've given them some instruction, or whatever the case may be, you can actually have the notes in the system to remind you of any history that you've had with this particular user. Let's go back to the desk. On the account assignment user desk, you will be able to use this area to assign accounts to your users. So you would check the particular client that has the portfolios that you want to assign. It will show you all of the portfolios under that particular client, and you would just select which one you're wanting, and then you would select the user that you want to assign to and the number of accounts. This will tell you how many is in each status. or the balances. This will kind of tell you where all of the accounts are distributed. And then once you select how many accounts you want to assign and put that there, you would just hit the submit button and it will automatically assign the new and active accounts, to that particular user. In addition to assigning to a user, you also have the ability to assign the accounts to another agency. And you would do the same thing. You would select the client that you want to assign from the portfolio, and then here you have the option to select the agency that you want to assign the accounts to, the number of accounts, and then from there you would just click on submit, the same as you would as a assigning it to a user. The only difference here is with the agency assignment, you are actually assigning it to the admin of that agency. That agency will then be able to collect on or work only the accounts that you've assigned to them, and you're still able to see those accounts, but they're working those accounts. And they don't have access to the rest of the portfolio, but they're able to work just those accounts for you, and you're able to still administer or recall or whatever the case may be to those accounts as needed. That's the desk. Payments, once you click on the menu item for payments, this will show you all of the pending payments you have for the current month. It will show you the completed payments if you click on the completed tab, and this will also show you all of the declined payments. Now the pending payments are for this month only. The completed payments will show you all of your completed payments starting from today and going backwards, as well as the decline payments. So if there are still decline payments in the system and you have your users and the users need to go and call all of those decline payments back, they have the option to do that. You can also search for payments. If you need to search for a particular account, you can do that, and here are all your options here, and you just click on submit and you'll be able to search for the payments there. Now the portfolio management, this is where you will see your list of any portfolios that you've added into the system. So any portfolio that you are importing into the system will show up here. You'll be able to see the date that they were added, a commission. If it's obviously something that you own, you would get 100%. If it's something that you worked out with the people or client that's placing with you, you would put your commission here. And then the balance or the principal balance, how much has been collected will show up here, how much has been scheduled, and then this will calculate your liquidation percentage. And you can actually see, from a liquidation perspective, what's liquidating better. And you also see the number of accounts that you have in that portfolio. You're able to delete portfolios from here. That does remove all of the entire portfolio from the system. So if you do that, it's gone. You would have to you would lose everything and you'd have to import it all over again. You can recall it. You would be able to export it, and then there's two options for a dollar export. There's two different formats. So one format is with all of the phone numbers on one row, and then the other format is with every single phone number on a different row. So it really just depends on where you're importing and what format you need the export in. The assigned portfolios will actually show you any portfolios that have been assigned to you from another agency. So you'll be able to see those here. The add portfolio option is the where you would import any of your portfolios. You would enter in the name of the portfolio, a short name, which is like a 3 to 4 digit representation of what the portfolio is, and that's going to also be used in the account number. Your commission, as I stated before, is going to be listed there. The principal balance on the portfolio, what you want your goal to be, the settlement percentage. You can actually put the settlement percentage here for what you want the agents to start out offering. or kind of a guideline on where they should be in terms of settlement, you would select the client, and then you would select the type of portfolio that it is and the file, which should be a CSV file, and then you would hit submit. So I'm going to quickly demonstrate the import process and how easily your portfolio can be imported. So let's say, let me pull up a demo portfolio. Let's say we have a demo portfolio and we have our portfolio headings. The easiest way would be to just modify the existing headings in the system to match the ones that are listed in, well, the existing headers in your file to match the ones that are listed in the CRM. Here we have the first name, which is exactly the way it is in the CRM. Same thing with the last name, the DOB, address, city, state, zip, your social. Any phone numbers that you have in the system need to be prefaced with an underscore and then phone at the end. That's going to tell the CRM that it is a phone number. It needs to be added to the phone numbers area. The same thing if you have multiple phone numbers, just make sure that the first part of the phone number is different and the suffix is the underscore and then PHONE for phone. You can do the same thing with anything that is other that's not listed, and you'll have the full list of items or fields that that are not included in the main account information. Anything that's not in there would go in the others section. So the original creditor number, you're going to do that as original underscore creditor underscore number. Now you can see in most Excel files, if it's a long number, it's going to actually put them in a completely different format. So what you will need to do is you will need to do a concatenation to put an asterisk in front of that so that the system reads it as text and not as the standard number, because obviously if you're telling the customer or reading the original creditor number and it looks like that, they all pretty much look the same. You have no idea what the number actually is. So in Excel, you would just put in the function equals concat, parentheses, and then you would do the quote with the asterisk, and then comma, and then the field that you need to concatenate. Close the parentheses, you would hit enter, and then you're going to double click on this thing right here to bring that all the way down. Now, after you do that, you'll want to just right click on the column with the functions. You want to copy that. You're going to go to the next column. You're going to paste special, and what you want to do is just paste the values, and that's just going to paste the values, because obviously if you only leave it that way, you're actually going to be importing the actual function and not the value. So once you've pasted the value, then you can go ahead and remove the original column and the column with the actual function. We're going to delete those, and then in your header you're going to delete that asterisk in your header field. You do not need that. And as you can see, all of the account numbers are now the full account numbers, are not in the other format, making it more accurate and of course easier to read. Then you have your another field, which is the email. Here you have a current balance, and in the system it's going to be current underscore balance. We're going to make sure that's an underscore there. The original balance, there's an underscore there as well. Same thing with your charge off date. The lender is going to be the lender on this particular portfolio. And any other information that you have. You could have their driver's license number, you can have their last paid date, their last paid amount, the county, if you have that, that can be added in. Anything other than that, you are going to want to add the other prefix and not the suffix, like the phone was a suffix. Other is for the prefix, and then you would just name it. Like if it was a reference name, you would just mark that other and then underscore reference name. We don't have that in this particular portfolio, so we are going to take that out. So here you have your finished um, portfolio. It's ready for the import. You want to make sure you have no periods in your header because that's going to generate an error. Check to make sure all of your other information is accurate. Nothing else needs to change. Any long account numbers, the same thing with the original creditor number that we did. So even if you have long bank account numbers or anything that's, I believe, longer than, say, 10, I can't remember the exact number, but anything that's long that's going to automatically reformat the number for you, you want to put in the asterisk and prefix it with the asterisk so that the system looks at it as text and not as a number. So once you're done with doing that, you're going to save that as an MS-DOS CSV file, and then you save it, and then you're ready to import. Now, once you go back to, well, let me say one more thing because you're going to need to get the total current balance from here. You're going to look at the current balance um, column here, and then at the bottom, this is going to tell you the sum of the current balance for this particular portfolio, and you're going to use that to enter in the principal balance. So now that you have that, we're going to go back over to the add portfolio. I'm going to name this Credit First Bank, which is the name of the lender for this particular account or this particular portfolio. The short name, I'm just going to use CFB for Credit First Bank. The commission, this is something that I purchased, so it's going to be 100%. The principal balance is what we actually just got from the file, and it was 537.45, a small file, it's a demo. My goal, I want to make the entire 537.45 from here. Obviously, you are going to enter in a goal based upon however you have that in your system, or however you do that in your office. And then the settlement, I'm going to start out with an 85% settlement on these. I'm going to select the client that it belongs to. In the system, I only have one, so I select that. And then the type, you're going to select credit card or DDA or whatever the type of debt this is. And then from there, you're going to select file, and you're going to choose the file that you just saved as the MS, well, as you just saved as the CSV file. And I have that right here, and I'm going to click on import. And after I've done that, I'm going to check my information, make sure I don't need to change anything, and I'm going to hit submit. Once I hit submit, this is going to give me the opportunity to match any column from my file with the columns that's actually in the CRM. And it's easier because I did that initially and I actually made most of my columns the same as what's already in the CRM. So it's going to match it for me. The only thing that I need to do is to go through and make sure everything matched, or if there's anything that was left out, I can just select the different fields and I can assign it. So if I had the current balance and not the original balance and I wanted to make them equal, I can just select the same field from my file to be matched with the column in the CRM. So I don't have a middle name here, so none is fine. I have my last name, the date of birth, the email, the address. There wasn't a second address. There's my city, state, my zip. I did not have the county, but if I did, I could just look down this list and see what I do have and match it that way. The time zone is automatically going to be calculated for you if it's not already in your portfolio. Then I click on next, and it's going to show me the financial fields. So I have the original creditor number, my current balance, my original balance, the contract date, which I don't believe I had on this particular portfolio, but say I wanted to make the contract date the same as the charge-off date. I can select that and the dates would be the same. I don't know what type of portfolios you have. If you needed to do that, you could do that. Then I have the lender. And these are some of the other things that I have in here: the settlement balance, the interest rate, the bank routing number, the bank account number, their bank name, their credit score, last paid date, last paid amount, the store address, city and state where they actually went to, their driver's license number, and their driver's license date. Again, the portfolio that I had did not have any of those, so there's nothing to match it to. Then you click next. If you have the client reference number, if there's a reference number for the particular client, you can add it here, or an alternate client reference number. You can use these fields. Client number, if there's a desk for a user that's already in the system, you can assign it there. Attorney information, employer information, all of that stuff off the portfolio if you have it. Letters, if you have any letter that was sent out, you can actually put it there. References, and any phones, as you saw in the file, I had two phone numbers. I had my phone, and again, we underscored it with the phone, and then I had phone 2, same thing. So these are going to automatically put these under the phone area. And then other, I didn't have any other. So once you hit submit, you're going to see that little flash, and that's basically telling you that the import process is going through. You're going to look at your portfolio management page, and it's going to then show you that your portfolio, which you name Credit First Bank, has been imported to this client on this day. Here's your commission, all the information that you actually entered, and the number of accounts that you've entered is here. Once you've done that, you can actually click on the portfolio name, and this will bring you to the actual portfolio, the account numbers, the first name and last name, their balance, the status, and if they're assigned to anyone in the desk, you'll be able to see that. You'll be able to click on the account number to view the account, or click on view here to be able to do that. So that's the portfolio import process. In addition to that, and we'll look at the accounts in a second, but in addition to that, the next item is the reports. And then under reports, we do have a couple of stock reports. We have your contingency reports, your client remit reports, transaction, payment, account summary, and client status reports. So if you do have a contingency placement portfolio, or someone that you're working with on contingency, you do have the option to select the placements from here. This does not have any, but you could run the report, and it's running, and it's going to run the report for any of the portfolios that you have in the system that are assigned to this particular client. It's going to list out the portfolios, the portfolio names, the total number of accounts in each portfolio, how much you have completed on those accounts, declined, and then what you have scheduled. And if you do have any completed, declined, or scheduled payments, it will list out all of the account numbers here that you can then export and send this over to the client if they do not have access to the client portal, or if they just want, kind of a regular Excel report to view. So that's just one of the reports, but there's, like I said, the remit report, transaction, payment, account summary, and client status report. The next item is the settings. And under the settings, this is where you will be able to identify, or you'll be able to update all of the settings in the system for your particular company. So this is going to have your company details, your contact name, the address, the city, state, zip. And keep in mind that all of the information that's listed in the company details is also used to populate all of your documents. So you want to make sure that this information is accurate for what you want the customer to see. So they're going to see your website address, and they're going to see your fax number and your phone number, the email. They're going to see all of those things. Here's where you enter in the pay period date, and that's going to determine, if you have users that are clocking in and clocking out, that's going to determine their timesheets and the pay period for the system. And here's where you can identify or put in your monthly expenses, and then your office goal, and these are going to be monthly. So if it changes, you would just go in and come into the settings area, and you would change those as you need to. Your logo, if you needed to update the logo, or change the logo, or enter a different logo, you would upload that here, and you would be able to see what your current logo looks like. After the company tab, you have your communications tab, and this is where you're going to set the email that the customers are going to see that the documents from the system come from. Anything as far as like if you want to be copied on any emails, you can actually add an email address here. And your reply to email is if a customer replies to an email that they get from the Secure CRM system, whatever you enter in here is where the reply is going to go. The notification email is a notification email that you need in the system. So if the system needs to notify you of different things, like if a user is accessing the system outside of the IP address that has been approved, you would get a notification. If there's been a new payment arrangement added, you would get a notification. So that would be listed here if you have that. And this is where I was talking about in terms of the email box on this tab here, where you would put in your email box, the username, the password, the mailbox host, and the mailbox port. You would be able to enter that in. The template, we have the template listed here. We have several stock templates. We have the decline letters, the demand letters, general information, the paid in full letters, your payment arrangement confirmation, and I'll show you what those look like once we go into the account, but you'll be able to use all of them. They'll be populated with your company information, with the customer's information based upon whichever customer you're sending it to. You can also add templates by entering in your own details here. If you need help with understanding which fields are available to enter, then you would actually add them or look through this list, and you'll be able to add them to the templates. The next is the commissions tab, but we don't need to worry about that. We're actually not using that. That's in the system for a future update. The processor tab, it's very important. This is where you're going to add the processors to the system that you currently use. If you don't have a processor that we currently are integrated with, you can submit an email and let us know what the processor is, and we can have it added. Currently, we are integrated with the authorized.net gateway, PayEasy, PayPal, PayScout, and USA ePay. So if you're using any of those, you can easily enter in your credentials here and automatically have your processor automatically process the payments once they're added to the system. If not, you would just click on manual, and your manual and whenever you get a payment, you'll just have to manually run it through your virtual terminal or however you run your payments, and you can then mark them as completed from there. This is also the area where you can add your transaction fees, whether it is zero. This is the standard, you'll just have zero, or whether you need to add 10, 15, 25, whatever. If you have transaction fees, you can actually administer and add them there. And then here is where you're going to select, once you enter your processors, what you're going to use for each of the credit card types. So if it's manual, then if you want all of your payments to be processed manually, you're just going to select the default option there. Once you select default, you'll see that all of your payments are going to be set to default. Now, if you have other processors, say you have a processor that only processes Visa, MasterCard and doesn't process American Express, well, you can select, to make that particular processor default for those particular types of transactions. So if you're looking at Visa, say I want to make authorized.net the default for my Visa transactions, I can do that, and you can see that it automatically changes from everything being default to manual to now the rest being manual and the authorized.net being used for Visa. If I want to then say, okay, I want to use PayEasy for American Express, I can do that, and you'll see that it automatically adjusts to accommodate that. And say I want to use USA ePay for my Discover or MasterCard. Same thing there, it automatically adjusts. So any payment that you get in the system, if it's a Visa, it'll automatically process through that merchant. If it's a MasterCard, it's going to automatically process through that merchant. And same thing with American Express. If it's Discover or ACH, it's going to be a manual process. And I can administer and make those changes as often as I need to. And whenever we want to process a payment, the system will automatically check to see what we have set up as default, Or, as I mentioned earlier, if there's a client override, if you've also said, for a particular client, I only want to use this particular processor, then it's going to process through that and it's going to override anything you have set here. So you do have the ability um, to manipulate that um, and override your defaults if you need to, based upon the client. After the processor tab, you have your IP address tab. Now, the users are currently restricted by IP address. So in order for them to access the system, you have to add in whatever IP address they will be using to access the system. You need to add it into here so that they will have access to the system. If you need to delete an IP address, then you would just click on the delete IP address option. Anything that you add, it'll tell you the date that it was added, who was added, and what the IP address is. And of course, your PIN is listed here so that you know that it's just for your PIN. That is the settings. The support option, if you have any questions, concerns, or have any issues, you can open a ticket here and keep track of your tickets, and all of the tickets will be updated. Um, you can add screenshots or, upload files. If you need to have me, review the files, you'll be able to upload that from here. So anytime you need support, this is always available 24/7. The timesheets. This is where I was showing you the timesheets, and you'll be able to see the pay periods based upon what we entered. You'll be able to see any of your users and their punch-ins and punch-outs and their totals. And then the timesheets by pay period, you'll be able to see their total for this particular pay period. And as you move through the pay periods, you'll be able to see the total. And that may help you with your payroll, entering it, the hours into another payroll system. The last option here is your users option, and this is going to show you the list of all of your users, their status, when they were last active, like when the last time they logged in, and you do have the option to either deactivate them, modify them, or view them. If you view, this is the same thing that we saw before, where you're looking at the user, their desk, their timesheet information. That's the same thing that we saw when we were looking at the desk area. You can modify by modifying the information that you've entered into the system for them, or you can deactivate, and once you deactivate, they will no longer have access to the system. You also here have an option to add a user, and here you would just select the type of user, whether it's a user, admin, or manager. Enter in all of their information here, and once you're done, here's where you would select whether they are required to punch in and punch out using that the timesheets option, and then hit submit, and then your new user will be listed here, and you'll be able to administer or assign accounts to that user. Let's take a look finally at the user account, or the customer account. So we're going to look at this user here, and they have a total of 15 accounts assigned to their desk. You can actually filter out these accounts here. Like, say for instance, you want to look and see how many are in PPA. You can do that by either searching for PPA. Keep in mind that that will search for the PPA term. So if there's a last name or a first name with a PPA, that's going to actually filter out as well. You can also sort by the status. You can sort by the balance, or whether you want to sort by the last name or the first name if you're looking for someone, or you can sort by the account number. But from here, you can actually click on the account number, and this will show you all of the notes for this particular account. Now, obviously, this doesn't have any notes. So you're basically just looking at the note screen. You're looking at the first name, last name. If you need to make any changes, anything that's red, highlighted, or underlined in the blue dots, you can actually just click on it, make the changes. If you want to commit those changes, you would just hit the check mark, or you hit X to cancel those changes. Same thing with the last name, and then you have the city or the address, city, state, city, state, and then zip. You have the county, you have their email address, their date of birth, if for some reason that needs to be modified. Here is the settlement percentage that we talked about that you enter in for the portfolio. So this is where all of the accounts would be added. You can actually click on the slider here and it will show you the settlement offer and the savings based upon where that percentage is. And here you have the information that we added, the original creditor number, or the lender, I'm sorry, the lender, the contract date, the charge off date, the balance, the original and charged off, and then the current balance in red, the original creditor number. If the bank account routing number and bank account number is available, it'll be listed there. The status, all of the accounts when you enter in, unless you've said otherwise or entered them in otherwise, the statuses will automatically be new, and then the user or you can modify the status based upon the statuses that are in the system here. And then the desk, this will give you a list of all of the users in your system that you can assign it to or who it's currently assigned to. If it's unassigned, it'll say unassigned and you can assign it to the user. Any changes that you make to the system will automatically provide or automatically add a comment to the account, so you know exactly what has happened, what has gone on. The next in user desk button would go to the next account in this particular user's desk. So if it's assigned to a particular user, you can go to the next account in their desk. Under all of the tabs, you'll see any other information that was imported. You'll see the client information, the attorney information. If none is there, and if they're talking to someone where the attorney needs to be added, they can just click on the plus sign, add the attorney information, hit submit. It'll automatically be added. Same thing with the employer, and same thing with the references. And here over to the phone section, you can add a new phone number. Let's just say this is a test phone. And you're going to enter the phone number and hit submit. It's automatically going to add your identifier and the test phone number there. And you'll also see in the notes where it says the user demo admin, which is my username, has added a new phone number, and it's going to tell me what number I added. So you'll have the timestamp and know when things were added or when things were removed. And here is where you can actually add a callback to the system. You select the date of the callback, the time. Obviously, we're not going to call after 9 because that's against the law. And then you're going to select the phone number that you want to call, and then you hit submit. If you do that, you will see a callback listed here, and then you'll also see the comment added to the account. Here, let's do that. 1024-6. Okay. And you see this callback that's here. You can either complete it or delete it, and then you will see here why I scheduled a callback for that phone number on that day at that time. And you'll also see that on the dashboard under the callbacks. The next thing is all of your payment information. You'll have your payment plan, the methods, the authorizations, the customer letters, and the documents. Now, you will not be able to add a payment plan unless you have a payment method on file, and that tells the system, of course, what payment method to process that payment on. So you would first go to the Pay Methods tab. You would click on either the Add Credit Card or the Add Check option. Once you click on Add Credit Card, you're going to enter in the credit card information. Actually, I have some saved here. So here you see the check mark, and the check mark means that this is a valid credit card number. If this was not a valid credit card number, you would not get that check, and you would basically have to let them know that they need to provide an alternate payment method. You would enter in the expiration date, the year, your CVV code, and then you could enter in your billing details. And that's not the address, that should be the first name. Let's look at Charity Brady. We're going to do P.O. Box 526, and she is in Rutland, Vermont 13052. And here is where you're going to enter in the phone number that you're actually talking to the customer on. Obviously, if you're talking to the customer and you're taking a payment, this is a good number. So you're going to want to capture that. Um, Put that in there, and then you're going to want to capture the customer's email address. This is the email address that the customer will automatically receive a uh, payment authorization form. Once you enter any type of credit card or any type of check, they're automatically going to get an authorization form that they can then sign and send back. So you're going to enter in the authorization form, hit submit. You'll see that it says the credit card was added successfully and the authorization form was emailed to the customer. You'll be able to see that the notes on the account stated that the user added a new credit card. Here's the description. It was a Visa with the last four digits, and a payment authorization was sent via an email, and that email has an ID. So whenever that customer opens that email and it's an email with that particular ID, the system will automatically document the account stating that the email address or that the email was delivered and opened. So if the customer opens the email, we will know, and the system will automatically document that. So here you have the payment methods that's listed there. And then now, when you go back to the payment plan and you hit refresh, now you're able to add a payment. So let's go ahead and add a one-time payment. We're going to select, hold on, I need to refresh. We're going to then select the payment method that we just added. We're going to enter in the account, the transaction date, if we want the fee, and this is where in your settings you would actually add a fee. Let's say we're going to do a $10 processing fee. The collector, let's say it's going to be assigned to the user, no co-collector. And then let's say we got this from the dialer and this was our first contact. And then you're just going to hit submit, and it's going to tell you that the payment was added successfully. You're going to see your payment listed there. It's going to be pending. Here's your payment method, which this ID should match up to this ID here. If they call in with another credit card or another form of payment and they say, okay, I want all of my payments ran on this payment method now, the only thing you need to do is click on that and on the payment method, make the changes to the particular ID number and hit the check mark to commit those changes. The same thing if you're manually processing payments and you need to go in and mark a payment as completed, you would just click on pending and you would take this out, mark this as completed, and commit the changes. You do have the option to view the payment, cancel the payment, or delete the payment altogether. In addition to adding the payment, you'll see that the system also keeps track of what payment you added, when they were added, and the total of the payments. That way, if anything changes historically, you will also have a track of what happened with each payment. So if I modify this date, like say the customer called in and said, I can't pay on the 27th, I want to pay on the 31st, I would change that date there and commit the changes. And then in the comment section, you'll see that the user edited the payment date for the payment from the 27th through the 31st. And it's timestamped and dated, so there's no question as far as who did what to what. You'll also see here where when we added the credit card information and we gather the email, that's now added to the account as the email address that we've actually gotten from the customer. So we want to make sure that we always get that. It's always up to date so that we know that that's the email address that the customer is using, and that's the email address that we're going to use if we need to communicate to the customer, if we need to change this email address, which is their primary, to this, we can do that as well. So once a customer enters in a payment method and they get their authorization form in their email, if they get the email, if they open it, once you go back here, you'll be able to refresh and see whether they read it or whether it was open. And I'm just going to look at this here. I'm going to do a test and sign this authorization so you can see what this looks like. And I'm just going to sign it. The customer will get a email with a link to their authorization form. The authorization form will give them the disclaimers, their authorization, their payment method, any payments that we have on file, if we have anything on file, and they would be able to submit the authorization. And once it's submitted, you will be able to look at the authorization, and you will be able to see their signature right here. It has their IP address and it's timestamped. So you'll be able to see that the authorization form was in fact received. In addition to the emails that automatically go out, you'll be able to take a look at the customer letters. You'll be able to send demand letters, their payment in full letters, payment arrangement confirmation. So if you wanted to send the demand letter, you would just click on demand letter. You have three options. You can either email it, you can preview it, or you can mail it. So if you click on preview, this is automatically going to open to a preview of the particular document, as the customer will see it. And let me pull this over so you can view it. Zoom in. And this is where I was saying that you will see your logo, all of the information that's in your settings under company settings. You'll see the current date, the customer's address, city, state, and zip code, and you'll see the responsible party, the original creditor, the contract date, the reference number, which is the account number in the SecureCRM, your client PIN, and then their current balance. And this is going to give them all of their disclosures here. You'll see that, and then you'll also see, or the customer will see here, that they will see the link to be able to log in to the actual customer portal to add in their own credit card information. If they don't feel comfortable giving it to an agent, they'll be able to add additional payments. They'll be able to do that. They cannot cancel payments, or well, they can't delete payments, but they'll be able to add payments and add credit card information, and then contact you if they need to do anything other than that. So you have that. That's what the customer will see. And that's what if you preview it. If you email it, the customer will automatically receive it to this email that's listed here in the system. And then if you mail it, if you request for it to be mailed, if you click on mail request, it'll automatically be sent to the print email that's listed in the system. And then it would also document that the demand letter mail request was submitted. So there's always documentation there. If you go back to customer letters, you'll see that the demand letter was requested and the time and date and who requested it. Same thing for any other emails that you send. If you send a payment arrangement confirmation, they'll be able to see that. You'll be able to see exactly what was sent out to the customer as an attachment when it was sent out. So if something does change, if the balance changes, if the payment arrangements change, you'll be able to see historically what was sent to the customer, when it was sent, and by whom it was sent. The Documents tab has any documents that need to be added to the customer's account. So if a customer faxes something in, or if you get something pertaining to this particular account, you can always hit the Add Document button, add the name of the document. Like if they fax in a payment authorization, you would just type in payment authorization and the last four of the credit card number or payment method number so that you can keep a reference. And then choose the document and submit it, and it'll automatically upload that, and it'll then be viewable on the account. In addition to that, you have, of course, we're looking at the comments, but you can add comments here. Whatever needs to be added, you would just add the comments there, post the comment, it automatically gets added to the system. That's the account in a nutshell. The last thing that we're going to go over, I did forget to mention the statute of limitations. So the statute of limitations is here based upon the current city and state that's listed on the account. So if the user or anyone clicks on it, they will see the statute of limitations for the different types of agreements based upon this particular state. And this will, kind of give the user some additional information to use during their conversation with the customer. Um, if there is a duplicate account or if the customer has multiple accounts, you will actually see another button over here where it says multiple accounts, and you'll be able to click on the drop down and view the other accounts if it's something that maybe you can get a payment on both accounts at the same time. So always look out for that. The search is here. So if a customer calls in and says, I got a call from, such and such, they don't have their account number. All they have is a phone number. You would enter in the phone number. You would hit enter, and this would show you any accounts that have that phone number. You have the option to search by phone, email, account number, address, or first or last name. So any of those things you can actually enter in to the search box, and you'll be able to search the accounts from there. You would click on the account, and that'll take you right back to the account screen. The final thing that we need to go over is processing payments. So if you have a processor in the system and you set the payment up for the same day, the payment is going to automatically run through whatever processor you have. If it's set up as manual, then it's just going to add it to the account and it's going to set it into a pending status, and you'll need to manually process that payment through your processor or however you process your payments. If you have one of the integrated merchants in the system, it will automatically process the payment through that particular merchant. If it goes through, you'll see that it has the completed payment. It'll say, and I'm trying to see if I can get one in the notes. This one just has a decline payment. It'll show you very similar. It'll just say that the payment has been successfully ran, the amount, the transaction fee, the processor, and it has the transaction ID. Obviously, you're looking at a decline payment. You'll see the same thing with a decline. If your merchant gives you a reason, it'll tell you that the reason is listed here. And but you'll be able to see whether it's listed as pending, completed, or rejected. And that's for any payments that are being added to the system, like green payments or anything like that. Now, if you have scheduled payments that are in the system that need to be ran, you would just go to the payment section, the payments link on the left menu. And there's a little button here that is for processing payments. So if you get a payment throughout the day, if the user recovers an NSF payment, or if there's something that's still showing as pending, you would just click on this process button. It'll automatically process the payment. Now, of course, if it's not a payment that's dated for today, it will not process the payment. It'll tell you that the payment is not dated for today and cannot be processed. If the type of payment method is manual, it's going to tell you that it's a manual payment. It needs to be processed manually. However, if it's a Visa, a MasterCard, a Discover, or American Express, and you have those set up in your settings to process through a particular processor, it will try to process those payments through those processors or through a processor, however you have it set up, and it will tell you whether the payment has gone through or whether it has been rejected. You'll be able to see it there. If it's green, it processed. If it's red, it declined or there was an error. In addition to processing the payments, we also send out payment reminders, and the customer will get an email that's letting them know that the next 2 days they have a payment that's coming out. It'll tell them what the date is, how much the payment is, and if they have any questions or concerns, they need to contact the office using the information, obviously, that you have set up in your settings. So you always want to make sure that your contact information is up to date, because that's what the customer will see. I believe that's it for the demo. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, please feel free to reach out to me. You can reach out to contact@72pixels.com, and I would be more than happy to answer. If you need some more in-depth training, please let me know, and we can go through any areas that you need you need assistance with. Thank you.